Preparing to live stream. Okay, this is part 2 of our hoof chat on August 8th. August 8th, 2023. In this session, we're going to go into some of the history of heel height, the belief of heel height inferiority. And what you're going to find is that's not what they call it, which is very interesting. But before we do that, I just wanted to share some of this dissection with you because I have talked about this before. Let me get this other picture up here real quick about how when you're trimming the heels, just even when you just take them back to the base of the frog, the widest point of the frog, let alone when you're trimming them down purposely to frog height, or as in some trim methods like Strasser's and Henderson's, you are literally measuring the heels. Like when I was doing Cheryl Henderson's heel trim, what she taught was that the natural heel height is where the periopal ends, and that it is always 1 1/8 inch. And what I found is that as you're trimming heels out, the periopal wears away because you set it down on the periopal. The periopal wears away and it exposes the sidewall of the heel, and then the heel wall pulls around under the foot and makes it look like heels grew, and it makes a periopal flap, and it will still be 1 1/8 inch from the hairline to the end of that periopal flap. But it isn't because your heels grew, it's because you trimmed them way down, and then the horse, because his foot wants to stand up, because just like your nose wants to be in the middle of your face, then his foot stands up and it pulls that nail in, just like an ingrown toenail. It pulls the sides of that hoof capsule in and makes a false heel. And as it does so, the periopal that was on the ground becomes a flap, and the periopal skin also stretches so that you still have a 1 1/8 distance from the hairline to the end of the periopal flap. It is just common that they do this. And so it looks to a person like, hey, this is a pattern. I've noticed that no matter how much heel I have, I still can get 1 1/8 inch to the end of the periopal flap. I'm not saying that it will happen every single time, but I'd say 90, if not more % of the time, this is the way the foot responds. So let me get the picture here just a second of the inner foot and of this dissection. This was one of the first dissections I did where I got all the horse's feet, and it was a horse that I trimmed for around 8 months. Just a second here. Hope I can find it. Okay, where are you? Just a second. It was a horse I trimmed for 8 months, and he was put down due to colic. He colicked because the vet, this is a vet that just doesn't learn. You know, you're not supposed to inject ivermectin in horses. That's why they made it a paste, because they found through trials that when you inject ivermectin into horses, that they can have like a serious weird die-off, or that any number of things can happen. A horse can wind up dying. And so this vet just insisted upon, gosh, I hope I can find this, just a minute, cartilages, on injecting this horse with ivermectin and he got the worst case of colic to where he was even throwing up, and horses don't throw up. All right. And so he had to be put down. And so this lady, nice lady, and of course she was devastated, but she allowed me to have the feet off this horse. Toby was his name. He was just the sweetest little guy. He was a little gaited horse. Just a minute, cartilage. Okay, I should be able to find that here. It's going to be my luck just today. I'm not going to be able to find this one picture that I can always find when, oh, here we go. Okay. All right. Yeah, this one picture that I can always find, but I did find it, so hallelujah. Let's see. Got to move stuff around. New share. Okay, here we go. Some of you may realize that I've talked about this foot before, so I'm going to tell you a story what happened. So I acquired the feet on him, and I had not removed a hoof capsule before. And so I had difficulty doing it. I kind of took it off in a few pieces. I used to do really strange things like try and wedge it between two fence posts and then wrap a chain around the leg and tie it to the back of the truck and pop it off. It actually worked a few times. But since then, of course, I've found there's a finesse to getting these things off. If you can get the frog loose from the frog stay area and get one heel, you can pull it off pretty easy. Well, if you have like a thing to jack it off, like what I use, one them straps you strap stuff down with a hook, and then I got this thing and I just pry it, but once you get it going, it will zip off from one heel around the front to the other heel and come off. So I couldn't do it on this foot here, and so it came off in a few pieces, including the frog. I wound up taking just the frog itself off. And so when I took the foot off, this is the shape of it right here. Right here. Okay. Then all I could think of was, well, you know, we take deer hides and pack them in salt. And for some reason, I just thought it'd be a good idea to take that foot and pack it for a day or two in salt and borax. And what happened was the foot shrunk up and went back to its original form. See, over here, what you have is this is the coronary band. It grows, you know, the horn tubules that grow down this way. And so you notice how it's curving down back here. This right here is where the heel buttress grows. Your heel buttress, I would say that's going to make a run forward heel. See that? See how the internal heel is angled right here? This little part. Just a minute, I'm going to get me a annotate so that I can mark stuff. Oh, come on, annotate. Let's see. We'll use blue. Okay, so this is the heel buttress. This here would be the bulb area right here. This is all the coronary band right here. There's your coronary band. Okay, here, let's do it in a different color. We'll just use lime green. That's a nice color. This is the back of the physical heel, the internal physical heel. Now, the horn tubules, which grow from the coronary band here, okay, they're supposed to grow down from in here, and they connect to the lamina here, and then they go down to here. They connect to the sole here, and then the sole and the wall grow down together. Right there. Oh, somebody needs to mute themselves. And then, let's see, or maybe I need to mute them. Maybe
no, it was me. Apologize. I'm doing it now.
That's okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so here in your heel buttress area, the heel buttress grows from the bottom here. Because it's supposed to support this area and prop it up. Okay, so this would be the horn tubule in your heel. That ain't right, right? Look at the angle. Okay, so having trimmed out the heels, now at the time I did this dissection, I did not know this was going on. Okay, and so this is interesting because Bracy Clark says that because he didn't know the truth about the true natural foot, then feet that he studied, he thought were correct, were actually deformed. And of course, he would make interpretations, and he said his predecessors did the same thing. And so what you find in the history of hoof care is a lot of interpretations and conclusions drawn from deformed feet like this one, and worse to where this is so bent over under it isn't even there anymore. It's just totally bent into the foot. And so this was going on and I didn't know it. Well, so I packed the foot in salt, and in a few days, because it had not been being trimmed like this for a long time, that the cartilage and the heel all went back to where they're supposed to be. What I mean by that is, okay, so here's your heel now. Okay, that's your heel now. Notice how it stands up more. Look at the angle of the dorsal wall. See there? And look at the angle of the heel. Now they're the same. Now the heel buttress, look at, just a minute here. Let's mark the coronary band now. Notice the difference. That bend is not in it anymore, is it? And so now where does your heel buttress grow from? It grows from here. It connects to the back of your heel there, and it grows down to the ground, like so. And so this big heel buttress pillar is what stabilizes the whole, two of them, stabilizes the whole hoof capsule. And so within a day, the foot had returned to where it was supposed to be. Because why? Because cartilage always goes back to where it's designed to go. Is not that correct? So everything in this foot is meant to be in this shape right here. Not like what this is over here. This was deforming the internal foot, and that is what is going on in all your horses to one degree or another. So here's the thing you need not worry about. Don't worry about the fact your heels are run forward. Why? Because they're that way because your heel, as the back of this was being pulled down, your heel got crushed upward like this. See how, look at this heel, how straight it is. Okay, if I was to pull all this back down here, what's going to happen to this heel? It's going to be pushed up this way. This is why you can just keep trimming the heels out and keep trimming the heels out, and you never run into blood. Because as you're trimming the heels out, as the capsule's getting smaller, as the back of the coronary band is being pushed down and pushing everything forward, it is pushing the heel up. And so you can still have sole here in here. You're not going to run into blood because it's no longer like this. It's been pushed up. Because why? Because this is cartilage. 2/3 of this foot is cartilage and fat. And so this is all cartilage, this heel right here. And this is all very movable. And here's something I want you to know. Look at this right here. See this cartilage that runs like this? Yeah, I got a fly bugging me. Right up here. Okay, that's loose. That's not connected to anything. It's got digital cushion on the other side, but it is not connected to the leg here. And that is why this whole thing can be pulled down so easily. That is also another reason why your heels can be contracted really so easily as well. So this cartilage has one place only. This foot, the coronary band has one place only. It is never right for it to be pulled down behind the foot or wrapped around into the center of the frog. That happens a lot too. It's either going to be pulled down like this and then wrapped around. I mean, there's a number of different things that can happen there. All right, so let me undo this here. Just a minute here, clear all drawing. Okay, so I dissected the foot and took pictures, and this is how it looked. And so then a couple days later, I took my foot out of borax and salt, and I wanted to take some more pictures. And I had taken that frog off. So I thought, well, I'm going to set it. I'm going to take a picture with it setting on the frog, because I was thinking, I wonder how high off the ground the foot is. Like how thick was the sole? How high off the ground was the foot? Like that. And that's why I wanted to kind of sit it on the frog to see. And I remember distinctly thinking, when I set that foot on that frog, it doesn't fit anymore. How come? But I would not know how come for another, well, I don't even remember what year this was. Like, I don't know. But it would be 5, 6, 7 years before I would understand this. And what happened was, I had learned so much that one day I just happened upon this picture and I went, oh, okay, now I understand. All right, so it was just this picture here and this picture here. So when I understood what happened, just a minute here, let me get rid of annotate. When I understood what happened, then I did this picture down here where I cut this frog, I cut the frog off and I put it back under the foot that it originally came off of. And what happened? Oh, it fits this foot, but it didn't fit that foot. Why is that? Because as you're trimming the heel out, as this is all getting deformed and pushing, you know, all this gets pulled down and then it gets pushed forward. Well, there was something here, wasn't there? There was a big frog here and a frog stay and a frog all down here. What happened to that? Well, it pulled that frog and it forced that frog forward, because he had big old thick frogs. Well, you can see it there, right? And so what it did was it pushed this frog forward, and it, look where it's bent here. Okay, can anybody see how that is bent?
Yep.
Because what's going to happen if this frog was supposed to be up here, and then all this is pulled down, pushing it this way? Well, there's already frog here. It's got to go somewhere, right? And so the whole foot is bending like this and creating a false concavity, by the way. Look at it here. See how this is starting to bend up into here? Okay, so as I said, it was a number of years later, I was looking at the picture, I noticed. So what I did was, in paint, I took this picture and I just, you know, took the cutting tool, and I cut this frog out like that. Then I took the frog over here to this foot, and how about that? It fit that foot. Isn't that interesting? Because see, the external is deformed. I mean, it's a vicious circle, right? Because as this grows in a deformed state, it will hold this foot that isn't even supposed to be in that position right where it's at. That's why, okay, in barefoot trimming, they don't want you to trim the frog, right? Okay, so nobody trims the frog. So as all this distortion is taking place and this frog is being deformed, it's also growing from a deformed position that it's pulling the foot in. And then what's it do? It holds the foot right there. Just like the periopal. Okay, the periopal shrinks up and gets thicker, and it starts to grow over the frog, and it starts to get thicker around the hoof capsule so that it can bind the foot in the position that it's being deformed into. Because what is actually happening with the periopal, and one of the things that the periopal is meant to hold the foot, the capsule on the foot or on the leg, on the horse. That's part of its job, a main part of its job. And so as the heels are being trimmed out, and it's creating this mechanical situation that is actually, well, all this anatomy pushes up into here and it rotates. It makes the toe of the coffin bone rotate down. And so it rotates down onto the sole, but it makes the walls want to go forward. So you've created a situation where the capsule is actually being pulled off the foot, a mechanical situation. That's the forces that are going on in the foot. And so you see that this frog, and start noticing this now. When you're looking at pictures, start noticing this area of the frog, how it'll be kind of indented in. All right. And of course, all this pulled down. This part here is supposed to be clear up here behind the foot, clear back here. So anyway, we're going to look at some of these dissection pictures, because what else is happening when you're pulling this area down? Where's your bars? Your bars are on the other side of here, right up in here. They're being bent up into the foot like this. They're being pulled down and bent upward like that. And so we want to understand, this is what caused all this. All right. I wanted to understand this foot. And so I started studying anatomy, and they just didn't have a lot of things that helped me to understand what was going on. So we want to totally understand this foot. The two things, the foot itself, which 2/3 of it moves all over the place, the caudal foot, the back of the foot, the bone is stationary, but it can bend from the front and it can bend from the back. If you trim the toe too short and you just keep trimming, it'll start to take this toe and bend it back like that. And if you just trim the heels and just keep trimming, it'll bend all this down and forward like that. And you wind up with these little teeny, your foot bound, little teeny tiny capsule. And this foot is crammed right into it. And oh, go ahead.
Linda, I just wanted to ask, is just for my clarity, do you have any visual, like I want to imagine everything in my head, and somehow when we're talking about I can't picture it when the heel height is being taken away, how this bend is actually happening, what is causing it, because you take the height, so how it starts to change the angle, so it starts to bend under.
Okay. Well, gradually what happens is,
can you draw maybe on this, like on the right side, there is a like a proper heel. If we draw, the one is not bended, you know, on the right side,
yeah,
where you drew the pillar. So
yeah.
I just want to have this in my head as a visual. We take whatever millimeters, centimeters, what happened, how come, why the tubules actually go that way.
Okay.
Because, yeah, thank you.
Okay, so his original foot was about like this. Okay, maybe not quite like that, but here's something else I noticed, that in these correct capsules, you will actually see that the foot does set at a slant a lot of times. Now the foot itself sets, like if we were to set this foot on a table, it was set flat. Okay. Like if I was just take this frog off and set it down, it just set flat from here to here. Okay. But, just a minute here. I need another color. But the coffin bone here sets at an angle like this. Okay. And it is, oh, okay. No, and the corium here is thicker down here. So all of this is cartilage and fat, and just like your nose, it can be moved around. The only thing that keeps it stable is the heel buttress.
Yes.
That grows and the frogs stay. The back of the frogs stay up between the bulbs. That is the only thing that stabilizes this whole part of the foot here. And so when you start to trim it out, okay, at first, let's see here. Let me find something to do here. At first, it may just, let me get a different color. What color should we use? Well, let's just use that. Let's say you take it out up to here. Okay, now if the foot is meant to be, I could probably show you better on a different foot, but if this is all cartilage and it is meant to be up at a certain angle, but you force it downward, then what happens is it will force its way back up anyway. But guess what? This is all connected to that heel down here that you have lowered. See, all this, the back of the coronary band that grows the heel buttress is connected to the wall. So the foot is connected to the wall that you have lowered down here. But this foot wants to be up here. Okay, see, this is the thing. You cannot just have any old heel you want. Okay, because the foot, I mean, you can look at this foot. It has a specific shape, right? And so this foot has to be supported in a specific location, period. Just like your nose has to be in a specific shape and form in the center of your face. Your ear has to be in a specific shape and form on the side of your head. This is cartilage and this is fat, and it has to be supported up in the air where it's supposed to be. So if you lower the heel at all, okay, now it's going to give some. It's got a little mercy for wearing its heels down. All right. But once you lower it to the point, no matter what you lower it to, it still wants to be back up where it wants to be. It's like I tell people, shove your nose over to the side of your face. Does it ever give up on wanting to go back to the center? No. And so you come along, you trim down the heel, you know, back to the base of the frog here.
Yeah.
And then you leave. Well, guess what? This foot doesn't want to be down here. So it pulls up. And as it does so, what happens? This is still stuck here. And so look what it does. It starts pulling the back of the foot down because the foot wants to stand up. It's not that I'm trying to explain how this happens mechanically.
Yeah, that's what you see, that's maybe that's the kind of the part that I am trying to have in my head, because I can just tell people that's what is happening, but I really would like to explain from the mechanical perspective. Maybe we don't have enough data on it, right? Or information, but
Well,
what
it's
is actually, you know, what forces are being at use here?
well,
Why
see,
it goes that way?
yeah. Well, the force is the whole force of the horse. You know, you got a 1,200-pound horse. His foot is a specific way. It's made out of cartilage and fat. These heels have to be a certain length in order to keep the shape of this foot. All right. So you have lowered it here. Here, we'll do this. Wait a minute. Let me get rid of some of this. Hold on. The annotate marks. Clear all drawings. I'll take a picture of this. I'm going to put it in a program I have, and we will. Well, okay, we're going to do that, but I don't know if I should do that or finish doing what I was doing first.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interfere. So if it takes too long, we can leave it and think about, you know, do it
Okay,
later.
well, let's leave it for now.
Yes.
And
yes.
I will demonstrate that in another program.
Excellent. Okay,
okay,
you.
But for
Thank
now,
you.
I want to show you the rest, just some more of the dissection pictures that I found while I was messing around earlier. I'm sure I got a bunch more other places, but anyway. Okay, new share. Okay. Okay, so this is that foot. And what I want you to see here is how, as the heels, like this looks like it has heels, but these are not the original heels. This is a case where the sidewall, because I kept trimming the heels down, as I trimmed them down and the foot tried to stand back up again, it would pull this sidewall in. And then also since the back of the foot was being bent down, it was curving the bars up into this part of the foot right here. I've showed this capsule. I have it right here. I showed it a couple weeks ago where you could see that it finally had bent the bar so much that the bar came disconnected right here. And there was separation in here. So anyway, here again, now here's your cartilage. Here's your cartilage right here. This is a good picture of cartilage. You can really see here how this is not connected to the leg here, to the pastern, because it is meant as the pastern descends to spread apart. And so this is one of the reasons why it can be so easily deformed and distorted. If you look at it here, okay, you can't see it as good, but there is no connection in here. No connection. These like fly free, you might say. Now, this is all digital cushion that is on the inside of it here, but digital cushion is soft and squishy. Somebody want to say something?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Is my phone on? Shit.
It might be. Oh, that was funny. Okay. All right. So here, remember I told you I was taking pictures. I took the frog out. See? And so I set the foot on the frog and it wouldn't fit. And I couldn't understand why. And I didn't understand for a number of years because the foot had gone back. Now here's a picture when I first took it out. You see how it's bent in like that. You might see it, you might not, you know, but it's not supposed to look quite like that. Okay, so these are false heels. Now, I finally understood something. Now, in the last few months, I've shown what happens. Let's revisit this real quickly here. Just a second. Because we have to add this in for understanding. There's just all these little details, you know. And that is about how the foot responds when you lower the heels. So let's see, go back to pictures, go down here to cartilages. See cartilage. Okay, where are you? Cartilages, oh, there we go. I'm gonna go over here just real quick. Okay. So remember this. Now, this was a foot that had the heels totally trimmed out of it by accident. Okay. Oh, just somebody not understanding how to do heels. Probably got us in another method mixed up, which is easy to do. You hear all this stuff, you know. And so I asked her to take pictures over the next 3 or 4 days. And you see the horse literally make heel. How did he do this? Okay, well, this foot, hold on a second here, keep that thought. Just keep that thought because I'm going to take you somewhere else. This foot, HI, okay, where'd you go? Here's another inner foot. So just imagine that foot is supposed to have this form. Let's see. Right here. Now we're going to, just a second here, annotate. Okay, so here's your coronary band. Here's your internal heel on the foot. See the angle? Okay, here's your cartilage. And so if this is the way the horse's foot stands, right here, this is his foot. And so all of the support in the back of the foot, in the whole apparatus, has to be to maintain this exact form. Now, that their heels get worn down and it can change the form, they can adapt to that to a certain degree, but there is always going to be a consequence one way or the other. In a lack of performance, it's going to cause inflammation, different things like that. So it isn't just trimming heels down. A horse can naturally wear his heels down, which will change this. See, if this horse came and wore his heels down to here and it pulled all the back of this foot down to here, well, what about the rest of the horse that we have up here? See, he still is going to want his foot to be exactly right in this right position right here. This is the only right position. And so his foot will pull up out of that worn down heel. And when it does, a lot of times what you'll see is stretched periopal and a big bulb skin, because the periopal stretches to cover up the fact he's worn out his heel or trimmed out his heel a lot of times. So as he does so, I want you to imagine now, this part of the foot is down here now, but his foot wants to be up here. Okay, but it's been forced down here. And so he still pulls up, but this part right here, the coronary band that grows the heel buttress, it stays down here. So as he pulls up, it bends this. It bends this, and it pulls all of this under. He's pulling it under and bending it, like in the picture I showed you of the horse I trimmed the heels out, where it's coronary band, it goes down like this, and then down like this. See, because as his foot stood up, see, it's kind of a reverse thing. Like it isn't that the trimming in and of itself is not bending this. What is happening is as the horse still wants his foot to be up here, and as the whole horse, 1,200 pounds, and the tendons and the everything in that horse needs that foot to be right there. Okay, as he stands up, well, this stays right here. It stays down. And so it bends the back of this foot and pushes stuff underneath. Are you kind of understanding what I'm telling you a little bit?
I actually have it in my head and I can explain it.
Totally
That's great.
understand.
I'm just rejoicing here.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Now
me
I
too.
get it.
Me too, because you know what?
Yeah.
I just understood it more trying to explain it.
That's
Right?
I hope I didn't annoy anybody.
No, I'm glad you asked.
That's
glad
the
you asked.
coolest part of it, because it's like I have it mechanically in my head. I can explain it, I can draw it, I can make a prosthetic and show how it works. Like really.
Yeah.
Can I make you laugh? You know what kind of started me on it? Like now you were talking, and I was like, how can I imagine? How is it like, that kind of stuff that if your toilet gets stuck or the pipes get stuck and it's a pump with the hand, it's really old one.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
I was just imagining it's like a suction moment.
Like a plunger.
Yeah, and then when you started talking about the upper leg and the ligaments, because the ligaments attach to the bones, right?
Yeah.
So actually the bones will put, and through the ligaments, the movement will be up, forward.
Yeah.
And the two movements will work against each other, creating all sorts of unpleasantries.
Yeah.
Right?
Plunger. That's a good example.
I'm going to take a picture with the ligaments, and I'm going to draw the forces that kind of at work.
That'd be awesome.
That actually makes sense. I'm just so excited now. Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Good.
Yeah.
Me too, because you're such a wonderful artist,
Right.
and stuff, and understanding these things. But see, I'm glad you asked, because even though I'm understanding it, that gave me a ton more of understanding and trying to explain it, see.
Excellent. Thank you.
So that was great. No, thank you for asking.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Thanks. Hi, this is Meg from Alaska.
Hi, Meg.
Hi. So while I was listening to all of this, something's got to give, right? Because you have a soft force, which is the cartilage of the lateral cartilages that aren't attached to anything. And you've got the hard force, the weight, and then the ligaments pulling. And so the cartilages don't stand a chance.
They don't. Yeah.
Because the only place for them to go is to basically like knuckle under.
Yeah.
And that's it. So yeah. So until you expand the back of the foot to relieve, which is actually kind of relieving the pressure. It sounds like that's being exerted upward by the ligaments and displacing the weight of the horse, which is adding to the crushing. You just have a vicious circle until you add in these relief elements.
And restore the support back to the foot. And then you got to remember too, as all this is taking place and the foot is the capsule's deforming, the foot is deforming, then it's all growing from that position to bind and hold the foot right there. See, so yeah, and like one thing we learned here too this year is you can't just arbitrarily release this periopal.
Yeah.
Because it really does a job to hold the foot together.
Mhm.
Unless you're going to support the foot up like this. See, because it's in, when you lower this, when you force this to the ground, and then that foot still insists upon being up, then it takes all this wall that, like, if I cut this out,
Yeah.
I have lessened the amount of wall in this area here.
Yeah, plan B is not a good one when that
Yeah.
sidewall comes around to quote save the day. So like you've been saying, let's
Exactly.
have the elevation to support the what is going to get released,
Yeah.
the removal of the periopal. So you have to create it artificially if you don't have it.
Yeah, exactly. And so, let's see, new share, where am I at here?
And just if it's useful, I sent you just a quick picture. I got it from the internet with ligaments.
Okay. Just a
And I
minute,
mean,
we'll go look at that here.
we can just, if we have time, 5 minutes, we can draw over the cartilage and we can draw the coronary band over it. And then with the arrows, we can kind of show where the pressure goes from
Okay.
the top and from the bottom. And because the ligaments are, I mean, it's not, it's just a drawing, but it's all for the mechanical aspect of it, you know?
Okay.
So we have the visual, maybe, I don't know.
Okay. Can we, let's do that here in a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
After I go through these other deals. Well, and I need to get to, on second thought, could you do that? And could we look at that
Yeah.
next week? That would
Yeah,
be
we can do
awesome.
that. Yeah.
Because you have it more in your, I don't know if I could do it right,
Okay. Cool.
right now. But then we can look at that next, because this is something really important that we really have to stay on in order to be able to understand this distortion and how to reverse it. We have to understand exactly what's going on before we can reverse it. We have to understand exactly what the true foot of the horse is before we can help him have it. You know, in nature is arbitrary. Just because something's natural doesn't mean it's good. Horses wear their feet out just as much as you can trim them out, you know, and it has different effects when they do that. So anyway, back to this again, you see how straight the cartilages were. That is anatomically correct. Okay, now you see how within a day, he had taken this, what you see here is the foot standing up. The foot wants to stand up, and that's what you see it doing. His hairline was supposed to be up here, not down here. His foot was supposed to be standing up here, not pulled down here. And so because it's supposed to be up here, as he stands, as he moves, that's everything in the horse, because the way he's made, he's built everything. That foot's going to stand up. Only problem is, his heel's been lowered, and so the back of his foot is stuck down here. Okay, so as he stands back up, the forces are not only bending the cartilage, but they're taking this part right here and they're lifting it up, and they are pulling it around the back of the foot. Look how he made his own heel, but it's not his real heel. I was showing this to somebody new that's coming into the group yesterday, and before I could explain it, they went, "Oh, that's great." You know why? Because they thought that this was a foot being restored. You see how deceptive this is. You would think, oh, that horse has some heel. This horse has even more. You know, this could be you could think this was a progression of restoration, when in reality, it was a foot that had heel, or his cartilages would not have been shaped like that. They got totally trimmed out. So you look at the lines here, they would have been all like this. Okay. And so now we see the response, pulling the side wall, because there's very little wall here. It's weakened. The foot is much stronger. And so to try and stand up again, because that's where it's supposed to be, just like the nose on your face. All right. It pulled this heel here. It pulled this down. Here it's even more rounded. And we can also look and see, look at what it does to the pastern here. See the difference in that. Somehow with this part I haven't really understood. Look how much it changed the pillar. I mean, I don't even understand how it did that in 3 to 4 days. But this is all from trimming this heel off. And this is how how each and every foot responds, because each and every horse has the same foot. They have anatomically the same foot. That doesn't mean they're exact in every respect, but the basic structure covering everything of the foot, the knees, the heels, everything is the same anatomically, just like all of our feet are the same anatomically. There are some variations in size and slight shape here and there. I'll tell you something interesting about that too. So I wore normal shoes all my life. All right. And you know, they squeeze your toes together. And so my toes were all squeezed together. Well, then I had foot problems. So I had to start buying men's shoes that were bigger and wider. And I was looking at my feet the other day and my toes had all spread out. See, I thought that was pretty cool. Like, they have these natural shoes where the toes are way wider and stuff, because that's the way our foot was supposed to be. So I find it interesting that mankind, all right, who is responsible for deforming and distorting the horse's foot, has also come up with shoes to distort their own feet as the norm, you know.
Linda,
What?
Linda,
Yeah.
If I may, the most tricky thing about the restoration of a hoof is the phase that you think that you have a good foot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This
I
is
know
the
what you mean.
moment. This is the moment all deformities become deeper and bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
I believe you.
this is why I always tell it needs time. And all the changes should be slow and deep.
Yeah.
Because the moment the heels wants to get up, it's the moment that everything goes to another place.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not very careful, this place is the false one.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's so interesting. There's so many false versions, you know, and I think I shared that too, about how several years ago I could look at the sole and the heels and the frog, and man, it looked like I had a really good foot. But when I look at the side view like this, my cartilage was all rounded. And so I knew it wasn't the true foot, you know, and then it took another couple years to figure out why, how these feet get bound and how the bulbs get turned in and then covered over by the periopal, and you don't even know what's happening, you know, periopal frogs.
I remember a year ago, I thought that Bemenitra was finally with good hoofs.
Uh-huh.
But I knew when I took the hoof in my hand, I knew that there was something hollow, something that didn't fit, didn't properly worked.
Yeah.
And then we went back to the beginning again.
Back to the drawing board.
Yes.
As we call
So
it.
you have to be very, very slow and very careful and you have to get the knowledge to know
Yeah.
exactly the anatomy of the interior foot.
Yeah, because there's so many little subtle
proceed.
variations that'll fool you.
Yes, yes,
You know, and we're finding out places where we're wrong. You know, see, that's the thing. We want the truth. We want the truth. So we're going to continue to study the foot, to think about the foot, to watch everything, to gather data, you know, from all sources, you know, except the sources that are going that other way there. You know, like there's never, ever, will it ever be all right to do that to a foot? See, never, not ever. And so, you know, here we see an example of two wild, this is a wild horse too. This was an adopted wild horse. I find it really interesting. They're almost identical. The pasterns, everything about them, but one's black and one's white, you know. But see, this horse here should have the same foot as that. Why is that? Because it has the same internal foot and the same needs. So here I've drawn in what happened here. Made heel. Look at that. See? And just the angle. Look how it changed even the angle kind of here of the horn tubules. I mean, you know, but see, when you think you got a 1,200-pound horse here and you got a hoof capsule, the next time I take one off, I'm going to weigh it. All right? Because all it is a shell. That's all it is. It's a shell. And it is so much more movable than we can even imagine. So anyway, let's go back to this. And I want to finish showing you the dissection, few dissection pictures I have of that one foot. Now, remember that I trimmed this horse, the heels out of this horse for 8 months. And one thing about a lot of these feet, if they're really strong and they have good cartilages now, is that they refuse. I mean, you can just damage if a horse has weak cartilages, or you know, depending on some horses, cartilages will just be pulled down and they can't hardly pull them back up. Other horses have such strong cartilages that every time you trim those heels down, they're going to make false heels. That is what my horse did. I tried for 10 years to get that wild horse image model on my horse. Not only my horse, my gelding, but my mare and the other horses I did too. And could never get it. I mean, and now I know what happened. My horse just kept making false heel, one false heel right after the next. Every time I trim him down to that, try and get that 30-degree hairline, boom, his foot would pop up and make heel. And so I was never able to fully get that because he would just draw it right around and make it look like he had too much heel again. And so I can go through the pictures. In fact, I was going through the pictures here several months ago before I really understood more of this. And before this gal posted the pictures that we looked at of the horse she cut the heels out of. And see, before that, I didn't understand, because just a while before that, I was going through Valor's pictures going, why does he look like he has heels when I kept trimming I know I kept trimming the heels out. Why does it keep looking like he has heels? Well, the understanding came when that nice gal did that and then took those pictures to share with us. And that showed us these horses make their own heel. Because that's just mechanically what they have to do, but at a cost of deforming, distorting the hoof capsule. So here you can really see that cartilage, just how disconnected it really is from the leg itself and why it will just move. Now, another thing is it's naturally curving around like this. So even though you pull it down when you over trim the heel, it naturally wants to curve in like that. That's another aspect to it. See that curve there? Okay, so here's the bottom of that foot. Now there's your heel buttress. That is not where wall should be growing like this. And also the way the frog is pulled down and shoved forward, and it pushes this part of the frog up, and a lot of times it'll make this part pooch out. And here you can kind of see how it starts to create a false concavity, because these are, remember, these are pulled down. It's shoving the heel up. It's creating a false concavity. And I don't know if you can see this, but because it's pulling all this down, okay, so the foot that was connected, the heel buttress part that was connected to this, okay, now the foot would pull back up. This is being pulled under. Your bars are right here. Look what it's doing to the bar. It's shoving it's bending the bar up into the foot. That had to be painful. Now, doesn't that look like it's a good capsule? Looks like it has heel, doesn't it? But that's false heel. That's heel. That's false heel. That is heel. That is sidewall in front of the heel. The actual heel buttress is pulled around, and so this is all phony baloney. It's the same thing we just saw on that other horse, just a little bit different model of it. This horse had beautiful cartilages, very strong foot, strong digital cushion, and so when that horse would stand up, it just pull that wall right around. And then, of course, you know, then the foot would grow in that position. And so this is what we're talking about, is about how deceptive these feet can be.
Yes, but look at the periople, how low it is.
Yeah, well, and it's thick too. The periople gets thicker.
This is a
as well.
sign.
Yep. And that's just what the heel looks. Now, imagine here's your heel, and the capsule's getting smaller, and this heel is being shoved up, crushed forward, and shoved up into the foot. That's the front. Okay, so here you see the coronary. This is the coronary band groove, where the coronary band lays. And of course, you saw the foot, how the coronary band was pulled down and curved. Okay, that's this part right here. So it's stuck to that. But the foot, but it doesn't want to be there. It does not want to be in that position. By the time this was done, it had been pulled way down and curved under by trimming the heels out. How does it curve? Because the foot wants to stand up, but the back of the coronary band and the frog corium and everything else is stuck right here with the low heel. So then it just gets pulled in. And then, of course, this is the bar, which is bent and shoved up into the bottom of the foot, which, okay, see this area right here? Okay, so those bars would have been pressing on this area right here. Now, there's another reason why a horse could start exhibiting navicular signs, because if you have bars that are bent and pushing up right into here, okay, well, that can be pushing back up into the area where the deep digital flexor tendon is and the navicular bone right in here. Okay, now this is a different foot. This is, I told you about a black paint horse that was blind, that they had to put down, that lived out here in a in a 40-acre pasture, sod pasture. He was maybe kind of trimmed by his owner 3 times in his life, and the never trimmed, self-trimmed, and she went in the Navy, and her parents, he started going blind, so they had him put down, and so I got the feet. And so when I first saw the feet, I was like, man, those are horrendous. They're terrible. This was like maybe 8 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, I got the feet off this horse. And, or well, it would have been 2015, I think. Okay. Because it was with this foot that I did one of my first videos on how we're trimming the heel buttress out. And it was with this foot that I was thinking about, I say, because I was trying to help a lot of people individually. And so I thought, how could I take everything I'm doing and put it together to help somebody kind of learn to do this? And so I sat down, I wrote a list of everything I do, and that became the mapping system. And so I thought, well, okay, after I wrote the list, I thought, okay, I'm going to go apply it to this horrendous foot and see how it works out. And so thinking this foot was just the most awful thing there was, I went ahead and I mapped it and I trimmed it. And well, you see how it trimmed up in front, not bad at all. And then this is how it trimmed. This is the exact mapping measurements, and this is how it trimmed up in back. But look how it looks. Looks awful, doesn't it? But you see, this is what I wanted to say. Sometimes these feet may look terrible. In reality, they're not. Okay, this horse actually had a fabulous foot. First of all, look at his cartilage here. See how nice and straight it actually is. He had probably an inch of sole. And so I've got 2 videos on the heel buttress, part 1 and part 2, where I use his cadaver foot. It was getting pretty rotten though. Looks kind of gross. But I was watching one of those videos today and I thought, man, that horse had the best foot. He had, look at this hairline, how straight it is. That coronary band is straight here. There, on that other foot, how it curved down. Look at the angle of the horn tubules in the whole foot. See? Look at that. See, this foot is actually a really good foot. Was he graveled? He had some issues. Yeah, but so what? This horse, in reality, self-trimmed here in Kansas. Look at the heel. There's our notch. See? But look, when I trimmed the foot up, look at it come out just right. Anyway, this is a back foot off of Toby, the other horse. Again, look how the coronary band is curving down, pulling the cartilages here that do not connect, pulling them right down with it. Okay. And so then if his foot still wants to stand up, this even looks stretched in here. See that? This should be up here like so, but it's forced it down here. Coronary bands should not be curving down like that. Anyway, that's the end of that foot. So, okay. Any questions or comments about that?
That's amazing.
This is excellent. Great stuff.
Hi, Linda. You're so informative, and I love watching all your educational videos. And thank you for showing us that.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Well, I want to understand, and so if I'm explaining things to where it's getting so I can understand it and you can understand it, that's good, because this is the only thing that's going to help people and help the horses if we just really, really, really understand what's going on here. you know?
Hey, Linda,
Yeah.
on the Facebook page, someone had just posted recently pictures of a horse's hooves that were totally knuckled over. And you've
Oh, I
used
didn't
that
know
term
that.
before, and I didn't understand what it meant. So having listened to you talk about the pull and everything on the tendons and how the foot can bind up, how does one get so knuckled under like that picture?
Okay, well, I would talk about how no matter how low you trim those heels, that foot wants to stand up and back. Okay, so the more you trim the heels out, the more it wants to stand up, and so it starts but you've changed the unity of the foot with the hoof capsule, what the weight bearing equilibrium and the fit to where it's all in unity. And what you're creating is the hoof capsule is being pulled one direction and the foot is wanting to pull back the other and stand up. And so eventually there starts to be a separation in the dorsal wall, and the toe wall starts going forward and the foot starts going back, and the foot is rotating in the capsule. And so, but you don't see it.
Well, see, I
See?
was trying to imagine what was going on inside of that hoof, and for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, well,
I've never seen feet looking, I've seen the ones with the slipper toes where they
Mhm.
whack them off with the thing. I've never seen, like a frog on the back of, those are the weirdest pictures I've ever seen. And I was just trying to figure
Yeah.
out how in the world that poor horse could walk.
They can't because internally they're standing on their tiptoe.
They've got
Okay.
to be. So
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how that hoof, I've been messing with the little laminitic pony, and that weighs virtually nothing compared to a horse. And I'm wondering how in God's name, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they don't die before they get to that point.
Oh, well, it'd be like you in ballerina shoes in boots. Hey, there's a good way to describe it.
There's
Okay.
another picture for you to put together.
There's
Linda.
you got a pair of cowboy boots. You put them on right, and then your foot goes down into the boot. And so it's solid. You can walk and break over, right?
It
But
just goes to
instead,
how much horses can endure.
oh, what'd you say?
Sorry, it just goes to show you how much horses can endure.
Well, my goodness, yeah, they just trying to survive, and oh my goodness. So yeah, you put on ballerina shoes, but you put them in your cowboy boots, and that's where they stay. Your feet stay in the top part, never go into the foot, and then try and walk. You'd be knuckling over too. See what I mean?
Can I just ask, can we just look at that Facebook post? Because I didn't recognize that knuckle over post.
Yeah, we could go
So
look at that.
I would also very interested in.
I would like to see that too.
Let me go just take a snapshot of the picture, because I don't know who posted it, and don't want their name and all that, since it's a private group. Which I'm sorry I did private group. I wish I would have just done a public group. But then maybe some people wouldn't have joined, but
Linda,
let's see.
do you have two groups?
Oh man, I got way too many groups.
Yeah, because I did join one a long time ago, but then you sent me a link to your private group.
Oh, well,
And-
I've got a community page, and then that group thing just turned into group for this and that, and it just got beyond. So I only really deal mainly with one.
Okay.
And that's and I even started a periopal study group, and I let that kind of by the wayside. I get good ideas, but a lot of times I'm not good at carrying them through because I just get overwhelmed and I try and do too much. So, okay, so I'm going to go see if I can find this. Is this on the Anatomically Correct Trim TACT Research and Trimming Group? Or is it on the something class book? Who can somebody tell me? Because I'm not seeing.
Sorry, I didn't unmute. It's on the research page.
Okay. About how far down is it? Can you check it out and let me know? Because
Yeah, hang on, I can do
I'm
that.
not seeing it. Well, on another note, I put my horse, he's been getting his alfalfa in a tub in a mud hole that I run water in every day, and man, his feet are expanding. And what's interesting is the research I've been doing about what people have written about the foot and all this. Okay, they're always saying water destroys the feet, water destroys the feet. But here's the thing that we are learning is that once your feet gets about half decent and you start putting them in water, they just get better. And what I have noticed about Valor is no matter how wet his feet get, they're still hard as a rock. You know, now the periopal and the frog loosen up and everything swells, you know, but his feet just get better with moisture. I mean, of course you wouldn't want him, you know, in a flood forever or something like that, but his feet just get better and better. I'm really looking forward to trimming him this week. You know, I posted a trim about my supposed pasture trim, because I just went out in the pasture and trimmed him instead of taking him into my little destroyed area. The wind come up and blew my little house apart. That I had made this little area to trim because for years I just trimmed under a tree. Then we cut the tree down. I no longer had shade. So I've been trying to search for a spot to trim. Then I decided to make a nice little spot, which if you can do that, that's really the thing to do. But I bought one of those things that, and I made it look kind of like a little barn, you know, and I have barn wood and stuff. And, but I bought one of those things at Walmart. I don't know what you call them, but they're made out of metal, and then they got a little roof on them, little cloth roof. And the wind come up and just tore that thing to shreds. So I guess I'm gonna have to put a real roof on it. But so I'm trimming out in the pasture. Actually trimmed Jackie in the garage the other day, drug some mats in there and set up a fan. Oh, I actually trimmed Jackie in the house last week. Did that. It was so hot out, and I absolutely had to redo one of her feet there. And so I just I moved the furniture and I threw down a tarp, and then I threw down an old rug on top of that and trimmed her in the house. So that was fun. Why not? You know, Jesus was born in a manger, right? It was good enough for him to go get born with animals. I can bring my animal in the house. Let's see here.
I'm looking, I can't find it. Sorry.
Well, maybe they I feel sorry for anybody that has a horse that's about to knuckle over because that happened to Jackie as well. Her feet, I mean, and I could just see it coming, you know, and I was like frantic to try and keep that from happening. And I was able to do that. This was a number of years ago. And, you know, the one thing I can say about her is that she's never laid down. She's never gone through that. She's never done the laminitis walk. But she has had laminitis, and she's been tender, she's been sore, but she has never done the full meal deal to where it would be a cause to put her down. As for having distorted feet, yes, she does. She does have coffin bone remodeling on the front, but not on the back. And but good things are happening. This will be the third time I've tried to unbind her foot. Now I know more things. See, I didn't know that deal about the cartilage. If you trim the heels low with no support and how it's going to wrap, it's going to pull the heels around. Well, that kind of happened to me in regards to getting her feet unbound. But now I've got, I bought $200 worth of DIM. She's got DIM boots. You know, so she's got full support now, and I'm seeing more and more result every week. Here, I'll show you the latest picture to the back of the foot. Just a second here. Do. See, this is August 2nd. Let's see, August 8th. August 8th. Okay. Now, but you have to get an idea of where we started. So hold on a second. Oh, that's just a second. Well, I'll show you. Okay, this one picture on the left is old. So she had laminitis and a contracted foot.
Screen share.
Okay, just So this is what her foot can contract to. This, I was starting to get some good spread and did not support the foot, and it kind of went back. And let me show you what we have now. That is looking pretty good, which is new share is right here. Right here. Now this was on the 2nd, and I was still having a problem with this. Well, you see that this side is wider, right? The cartilage is more released and full, but here very more bound up. But over here you can see that it is expanded, that her foot is widening out. So
That's remarkable.
looking good.
Yes, it is. I can't even imagine how much work that's taking.
Yeah, it is like labor intensive, because the frog, see, the frog is what binds the foot down there. Well, okay, so we've been talking about this. So her foot always wanted to stand up. Like, I just so understand. I can look back at the time when she was so foundered, so rotated. Now she'd get this huge stretch periopal and huge stretch frog, you know, deep heels and stuff. Well, her foot kept trying to stand up. See, that's why it does it, because the foot wants to be up. It wants to be up. And so as it grows, it raises up, and it leaves that trail, a long periopulin frog behind it and stuff, because this hairline wants to be up. It doesn't want to be down. And so if, you know, one thing I've done is, of course, me cutting any heel off has been like pulling teeth, but you have to cut the heel off in order to release the foot, but you have to support the foot up. See, this would just be a regular old barefoot trim, basically, you know, and stuff. You have to support that foot up where it wants to be, where the leg wants it, and then it won't the leg won't pull up with the heel still down with no support, where it just pulls this underneath. See, it's just the same thing. And so now,
so
oh, go ahead.
So it doesn't look to me, or maybe I could be wrong, it doesn't look to me like you are going crazy trimming periople while you're doing this.
No, not really.
Okay.
You know, but I am thinning it. I do thin it all down. Like, see how this is full in here? Okay, see, I'll come in here and cut that down in here because her foot is raising up, and I'll also take some more heel down because the less you have here, the more opportunity it is for the foot to be able to move and for the frog. See, this frog, this hairline has to be straight back like this. All of this has to move back and come clear back up here. All this anatomy has to move back and come clear up into here, and all this up like that. So you have to keep stuff thinned out enough that it can move, but not so much. I mean, you can tell.
Linda, when do you think that you will let the foot go by itself?
Not until I get all this in the right place and establish it, because Bracy Clark called the frog stay the bolt, right? Because he called it the bolt because it bolts the foot in place. And so all this frog has to be able to come back up here where it's supposed to. And then you'll allow the frog to grow solid and stabilize at the foot. And then the heels buttresses will be growing in the right place. And that's when. So would have been done by now if I'd have known some of the things I know now. Back 2 years ago. And so, anyway.
I'm thrilled with your progress. It's great to see.
Oh, thank you.
It's really nice. I went, a couple chats ago, you had suggested that I take this really radical trim and go down with the boots and the dim and all that stuff. But I can't do that.
No.
Because there's nobody here. In the first place, I have a vacation plan that'll take me away, and there's absolutely no one that will do that for me, right? No one.
Yeah. Nobody. And see, that isn't I didn't really suggest that you do
I know, but
okay.
I can see how it would work. And in all of this is super great progress. So I'm happy to see it. I'm just taking a much more slow progress, and like every time I take heel off, I'm going, yeah, okay, but this needs to go anyway. There's nothing under here, right? It's like, so I'm okay with that, but I am hesitant to trim as much periople off as I want to, because I know that's sort of like the only thing holding that foot together.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're doing the right thing,
I'm trying. God bless her. She's spending a whole lot less. Like, she's only laying down like once a day now for like 30 minutes. And then the gelding goes and gets her up and she carries on, and she just seems much happier. So
good. Well, see, that's improvement if they're not laying down.
Right.
Like I said, that's the one thing. Jackie has never laid down. Not like that. I mean, on occasion, she'll just lay down. Because
I was actually it never bothered me that she laid down. A, she wasn't eating when she was laying down.
Yeah.
And B, B, when she got up, I mean, the first couple of steps were a little hard, but other than that, she was, fine. So it's never bothered me that she's laid down, but I'm really happy to see the progress in her feet. At this point, what's growing in is way better than what's growing off. What's growing off looks horrid and terrible. And every time I take a rasp to those toes and I get nothing but dead.
Yeah.
Everything. I'm like, geez, how much of this do I take off?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know. And You know, to be honest with you, whenever somebody like you comes along, I'm just dreading it. Sorry.
No, I'm not. I'm sorry to make you dread anything, but it's actually nice to discuss it with someone who's sort
Oh,
of
for sure.
like-minded. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's nothing personal,
Misery loves company, Linda.
Yeah, there you go. So what my hope is to fully understand how to restore the whole back of the foot, and then that's going to help a lot of horses. See, now this is when this time we this is when we started again.
Right.
Okay. And so you see here, this was 5/8/23, and the change, now we're at 8. This was 7/9, July 9th, and then I just showed you the most recent pictures. But see it, I mean, once you cut this out, now again, what are we looking at? Well, let's just turn it over. Okay, let's look over here. So if you lower these heels, well, this part of the foot, it wants to be up in the air. Okay, so you lower the heel, the foot is still going to stand up, but it's stuck in the heel that it's growing, and it's pulled down to the ground. And so as the foot pulls up, this part stays down. And so that's why you have this hairline that goes down like that on these horses, because every time the heels were lowered, it pulled it down just a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, but the foot, every time the heels were lowered, it pulled the foot down, but the foot wants to be up. And so it's forced down, but this part of the foot is pulling up, a force pulling up, but this part stays down here. And so it just curves and pulls the hairline down, leaves it down while the foot is pulling up. I don't know how to explain it any more ways, but
we've had like so much rain here this summer, it's not even funny. So when I'm trimming the frog, somebody was asking on one of the last Twift chats how much of that plug you can cut out in the frog.
Mhm.
And it's funny, it's not funny, it's scary to me, because
Yeah.
every time I trim it and then we get more rain and she's standing around in the wet pasture all night long, I can just see that little triangle that wants me to cut it out.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that the deformity is so well defined. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then again, it's like, oh, geez, how much of this do I cut out and how much do I leave there?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And let alone, these are all false heels. These aren't
Yeah.
even a real heel, And so if you lower them, but you don't have the support, then the foot it'll just do it again and again and again, yeah, because the foot only responds well to truth. If you got any false concepts about these feet, no matter how right you think you are, or something, the foot is going to do what the foot is going to do, because that's the truth. So, your false belief is not going to make any difference. Now, you can blame it on, well, it's not my trim, it's what the horse is eating, or it's genetics, or what's some of the other stuff? Oh, not getting enough natural movement, things like that. But it's the trim, and ultimately it's you. You don't know what you're doing. Oh my God. We can't have that. By God, I've been a farrier
Linda.
for 50 years.
Linda, excuse
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Why these photographs remind me of this hoof with the 4 capsules, the half hoof, that photograph that you brought from a museum somewhere. Do you remember? When you went to a museum?
Oh, no, I went to, you mean when I went to the vet and there was that half a hoof where that horse had separated 4 different times from his hoof capsule, and you could see where it
Yes.
started to grow a hoof capsule 4 times.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know where those pictures are, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. The vet had those. That was pretty cool.
You posted them, and I
Yeah.
have them to some file. But why do these deformities remind me of that photograph?
Because that is what's happening. Because the foot will separate from this, because sooner or later, like this part is staying down here right now with the false foot, but eventually it can pull away from it, separate from it. Then underneath it, it starts growing another foot. Well, then the farrier people, they don't know what to do with that. They don't know there's 2 feet growing in here. Okay, you got the old one still connected to it. The foot came loose and is growing another one underneath. Another frog, another bars, sole, everything. Whole other foot, but it's still all connected. And so
is there any possibility that Jackie has this same thing going on inside?
Yeah, she would if I wasn't doing this. Okay. She has had that where this is twice as high as what you see here, like that pony had. But you know, then this was years ago, I started cutting all this out and right in here, and leaving the heels real high. And so she didn't separate like that. That happens when they just keep trimming those heels out, no matter what, a lot of times. And, or something is just going on. You know, they just keep trying to make the foot look normal, and the horse keeps standing up, trying to stand up. Pretty soon they even develop a can foot. Eventually they just knuckle over, you know?
No.
So, okay. So
Linda, if you don't take that false foot off, well, if that horse were left with to its own devices, would it and it could move around, would it eventually just simply exfoliate the old foot?
No, not in this case.
Well, I don't mean, I don't mean Jackie, I mean like another horse. Well, you know, a horse left to its own devices, would it exfoliate the bad foot?
No, because the wall is connected. They connect all these parts together. The wall doesn't crack or whatever. It keeps going down, I think.
Yeah, it's you know, it's not in most cases. No, I do not know, because actually, come think of it, there was a town and they had a loose horse, or I don't know if he was wild or not, but he ran around town for a long time, and he foundered like that, and finally he was knuckling over and they had to put him down. So he never corrected his feet. Once this starts happening, it's just almost a death sentence, you know, and stuff, especially if they rotate all the way up to the coronary band. They're not going to shed their own hoof capsule. It's like, it always reminded me of this way they used to torture people, okay, where they take them and they would tie them to a dead body. There's a poem about it too, face to face, nose to nose. I mean, they were meticulous about it. It was a certain, like a murderer. They'd take him and they would tie him to a dead body, hand to hand, every part just meticulously face to face to that dead body. You just let him rot like that. You know, that's what it reminds me of. That they've got this dead foot still attached to one that's growing. And so it creates these weird leverage forces that keep causing it to separate from what it's growing and start growing a new one. And then the leverage forces the capsule off underneath, but you don't see any of this going on because it's got this big glob of a capsule still connected to it, and it's one long continuous hoof wall that you see on the outside, but internally many sets of soles, many frogs, see, that you're not seeing where it came apart. It's like if you were to pull a hoof capsule off, the sole would start to grow, the wall would start to grow, everything like that. So what it's happening is coming separated internally from the frog and the bars and the sole, and there's a gap in there, and then it starts to grow another one, but you don't even see it. You would just see this on the bottom, but internally there could be, you know, 2 or even 3. And in fact, I've seen that. I seen a horse, another horse, where I looked at it and somebody was asking what somebody thought about it, and you could tell that horse had 4 sets of frogs growing. Had come loose, grew another set, come loose, grew another set, and was growing and come loose, and had one that he was growing, all connected into this heel and stuff, you know. Okay, well, I wanted to tell you a little bit about Henry Hammerling, and so we're going to end with that. Just a minute here. What do I got up here? So let me go to this deal. Hold on. I want to read you a little bit and tell you about him, some interesting things. Janet Hare was kind enough to buy his book for me. Just a second here. New share. Well, I want to end share. Let's see. Well, now I'm lost. Hold on, I got to close some windows here. Okay. Trying to figure out how to I've lost the people. I've lost the people. I can't find your people.
We're still here, honest.
I know, but there's like this box with everybody in it. And I can't find them. Let's see, let's close that. Let's close that. Let's close this. Let's
You can't get rid of us that easily, Linda.
Well, I know you just have disappeared. Well, does everybody else get that box that everybody's in?
We have seen it, yeah, but now we just see the one of the 3 feet, Jackie's feet.
I think you have to switch to the left.
You should press the participant.
Or this one, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, all that did, it brought up people, but it didn't bring up my box that I'm in where you can see me. You know what I'm talking about? Where you see that book.
No, we see the Jackie's photos.
See, it was here the whole time. I don't know why I have that. I'm going to close that up. Oh, no, can't do that.
Maybe unshare what you're sharing and it'll be behind that one.
It still didn't show up.
Do stop screen share and see what happens.
Oh, stop share. Oh, there we go.
There we are.
Okay. Only been working with this thing for how long? It still can't figure out how to use it. And of course, now I can't find me. Let's see. Uh-oh. Oh, hold on 1 second. Here. Oh, why can't I find me now? This thing is just not being cooperative. Let's see. I don't see Linda Harris. Like, what is the deal? View speaker, gallery. Okay, now I should be able to find me. How come I'm not in here? I'm looking at the gallery. Like, let me show you what I see. Okay. Well, it's not even showing up on there. Oh, there I am. I found me. I found myself. Okay, start video. Uh-oh. See, I should be. Why is not this working? Start video. Well, maybe I accidentally unplugged it. Just a minute. That's that. Nope, it's still plugged in. Well, I guess my thing just, okay, now it's got a hourglass. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Can anybody hear me? Hello?
Hello, you're there.
Well, now I got a white screen. It says Zoom meeting not responding.
It's responding on this end.
Yeah. You know what might happen here? I might lose y'all because it's giving me Zoom meeting is not responding. If you close the program, you might lose the information. So it's asking me close the program or wait for the program to respond. I don't think it's going to respond. You know how it is once it goes white. Once it goes white, or kind of pasty looking, they never come back.
Mine comes back when it does that.
Mine is just waiting. Okay, well,
Maybe you can just ignore it and minimize it.
well, the thing is, then I cannot screen share or anything now. And I was going to show you this book was the thing. Let me see what happened.
I think Linda's gone.
Yeah, she said, let me see what happens. I guess we know.
Everybody else has a little mute symbol and Linda just has her name. That's it.
Welcome everyone. I'm Sandra Smith in for Jeff Buda, and this is your world. What's that in cover with videos and Eagle Pass. TACT.
Technology wins again.
Tell
Oh,
me
Meg, you're the
about it.
host.
Yeah, Linda is out, but maybe she's
Yeah.
coming back in a few seconds.
There's just a thing that popped up there. It says Meg is the host. Congratulations, Meg.
What? I am not the host.
It's what it said.
I know, I see that. I'm going to mute myself and abdicate.
You can't do that.
You still
Yeah,
don't see my
I think I
dogs.
saw Linda left the group popped up.
Do anybody from you guys knows or remind or recognize where we find that, or where I can find that video from the wet with the 4 horseshoes inside? You know what we're talking about? The last 10 minutes. I tried to find it, but
I don't know whether actually Linda posted it. I think she didn't post it. Ageliki was discussing it with her, so Ageliki will know.
because I saw it earlier when Wayla was at the vet because of the stomach problems.
Uh-huh.
I was
saw it,
trying to find the photo.
but I
of
can't
the
remember where the
photo.
video was.
No, there was no video. It was only a photo with Hoof, if we are talking about the same thing.
No, there was a video where she's shown the vat and all the different
Yes, you're right. I saw the
It was-
video too.
I think
I haven't seen that.
one or the first or the second day after Wayla's vet visit.
Does
And-
anybody remembers when it was? How
Yeah, I
long
found-
ago?
I found the post, but that Wayla is getting better when he's home again, but I didn't find the first post. And I recognized that it was not posted by Linda. It was posted by somebody else, but I didn't recognize who.
Oh, I think that's when she was in Facebook jail and she was posting under, oh, it was a different name. What was it?
But
I don't
can
remember.
you tell me the date?
I tried to find it again. Just a second.
Are you there? Anybody?
Yep.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh,
Looking for that post.
yes, I'm looking for the photo. But if we find it, what shall we do it with it?
Yeah, interesting question.
Oh, God.
You could hit a screen share.
No, we cannot. Only Linda can screen share.
And Linda disappeared.
It looks like on the bottom, when I move my mouse just right, the screen pops up that says screen share. So I don't know.
Let me
Yeah,
look
you
again.
you can try it, but afterwards it says you're not allowed to screen share.
Oh, I suppose.
Well, I think we learned enough for tonight or today.
What time is it in Greece?
It is 11 past 6
In the morning?
in the evening.
Okay.
Well, I will have to go because I have to transport a horse tomorrow and I have to get up really early. But I will hold on for another 5 minutes, and if Linda doesn't appear, I'm off.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, I will wake up tomorrow. Can I ask a question? It's not hoof related, but I have an issue with the 2 days old foal. He was born with inguinal hernia. Maybe anybody, had horses who had it?
No, I never had.
No, okay, cool. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I know on dogs what they do.
Well, it's a surgical operation. Yeah.
Yes, when they are very young, sometimes you take a bandage, a very light one, and you roll the tummy, and the hernia gets into, and then it closes, but they have to be very, very young.
Yeah, but you're talking about the umbilical one, and this one is actually at the groin area. And basically the intestines, they fall through into the scrotum area. That's kind of, that's why I was thinking to make also like a hammock to hold it, but the foal is moving, so it's just slippering all the time. And anyway, but thanks for sharing.
I think that's something that would probably have to be repaired.
Yeah. Usually it's a surgical intervention, but they really, the survival rate for very young foals is very low.
Oh, that's
and
not good.
I know some of the foals, they grew out of it. So, but I'm just collecting information because it's quite rare, and it's good to, if somebody has experience, it's good to know that experience.
Hey, this is Terry in Kentucky. I had a gelding that had a small one, and he did grow out of it.
Yeah.
But
well, ours is quite large, and he's only 2 days old. So.
Oh yeah.
But I decided not to do surgery for various reasons, and we just can't transport the horse with his mother because of the local regulations. They require very fresh blood test, and it's not possible to do within like a couple of days in the area where I live. So anyway, so if whatever, I'm just having this experience, and that's basically, I just wanted to ask if anybody had it.
Yeah. Mine, he was real small, and it was maybe the size of a quarter, and it grew out of it. He closed it.
Well, that's a good one. Okay, well.
Can anyone communicate with Linda through Messenger, or is she off of Facebook?
I don't know.
I can try.
Okay. See. Thank you.
I sent her a message. We'll see what happens.
It was so funny because she said, well, we'll just see, wonder what happens if, and then boom, well.
We found out what happens when she did that.
It's like, yep.
Guys, I have a question for all of you. I once put Benenitra's hoofs into water for 3 days, and then she expanded her hoofs, her heels were going very nicely. And then, because I didn't support at that time, if you remember, we didn't know about the DIM, the DIM. And I didn't support, then the heels contracted again.
Oh, no.
So now August in Greece is very dry, but really very dry. And I have decided to let August finish and go to wet the hoofs again September and try to the DIM and all the rest. How do you think I'm thinking? Right or wrong?
Well, actually, that's what the question was in my mind after listening to all of this today. So if we don't use DIM, can we actually succeed?
No, I don't think so.
Because after listening
I
to
think so.
all that Linda
I think so.
shared today and to kind of discussing how this pull happening, how this mechanical forces are working, that the hoof always wants to pull at. And my question in my mind was, so actually, if we don't do the support with DIM, is it really possible? I mean, we're leaving the false heel height, but is it enough?
Yeah, it's you can see it on Angelo, and you can see the totally difference on Dodo. So I have the two horses; they are totally different. On Angelo,
So what are you saying? The DIM is absolutely necessary?
No, I said it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on the foot.
On the problem that you have on the hoof.
Okay.
On Dodo, Dodo, and for the total opposite, it's Angelo. And Angelo were spreading out and going a wide, big hoof, curled in but not under, and going wide, and a big hoof and deformed, and Dodo curled in and running under. And there you need the support, and also for the lap hoof looking foot. I think you need the support, because if you set the false heel that you create,
Something is wrong. I don't hear you really well. I don't know whether everybody's hearing you well.
Yeah, it's breaking up.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm breaking up. I'm sorry.
It was.
Okay. So can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so it depends on the problem, I think. If you have the problem that Dodo has, then you need the support also on Jackie, and I think also on Dolly. The first.
But what do you think? The foot we were looking at the beginning, this cord on my client's horse. Do you think that could be the solution? When do you make the decision that it is necessary?
Yeah, I do the decision when I see the capsule is not ready for the cartilages, but the bulbs are very stretched.
When they're hanging out, kind of.
Yeah, when they're kind of hanging out, it's quite a little bit too late. Maybe you have to do it a little bit further. When you see the bulbs are pretty stretched and the capsule is not in the right position or has the right size, maybe it could help then to release and uncurl.
So in a sense,
and
in the process,
uncurl the capsule very slowly. Yeah, then maybe the DIM could very help. But on Angelo, I don't need it because he's doing very, very slowly, and Dodo just doing so fast. And I have another few horses where I can see, okay, if you do it very slowly and very smooth and gentle, you don't need the DIM, but it depends on the problem from the horse and on the passion and on the surface where they walk and where they stand. Wet or pretty dry or something like that. For Angeliki, I think it depends on your your on how you can handle it, because it's a lot of work with the DIM, and you have to remove it and change it, and it depends if you want to have the glue-ons like Marilyn does, or if you have want to have the shoes, the boots like I do. That's quite different.
Hello.
So can you hear me?
My gut feeling would be, because Dolly has always been barefoot on her hinds, even through this whole thing, and her hinds have always done well. But this summer, as her heels have started to respond and the cartilages were developing better, when it got really dry, her heels started wearing down, which is the only reason I put the DIM and the shoes on her. I'm hoping, I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want her heels wearing out to nothing. So that's where she is with that.
That makes sense too. Yeah, to give to create a false support or a support for the horse where the capsule can grow in and the cartilage have something to land on and they feel comfortable. So yeah, it depends, Angeliki. For my opinion, I would try it with the DIM, but you can, I think you don't lost a horrendous kind of thing.
After what I've tried, I see that there are some very slow changes for the better. And I think I should wait until the very dry season pass and then try to help her. But
yeah, follow your intent. It's always right. Trust me.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on her feet though, to see if they're wearing down.
Guys, Linda wrote something on the page on the Facebook. We were cut off in Hoof chat today by Zoom going blah blah blah. So here is the article I was going to blah. Okay.
She just messaged me and she said that Zoom will not let her back in, but she'll check it out again. I told her there were a few of us still here discussing feet, so let's give her a couple of minutes maybe.
All right, okay.
I'm with 1% of battery. I don't know why. I kept my feeder on, but it won't work. I don't know.
Like in Hungary, in Hungary with the DIM, like people who might help, I know that because everybody wants to keep everything cheap, I know I won't be able to do it probably because people simply not prepared to pay for it. So I would only be able to do it on the horses, like my horses.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And because
I will
it's
try on September.
Yeah.
Because I can.
I was also thinking, maybe it's not good if it's very hot, like 40 degrees. I mean, is it a good idea to cut off the air from the hoof? Because in a sense, it's like
we have more than
boiling.
40.
Sorry?
Yeah. We have more than 40 degrees calcium this year.
Crazy. Yeah. So for me, the temperature also, like to put a horse in a boot and water the boot, I was kind of, for some reason, I didn't like the idea for this kind of hot temperature, because imagine the hot inside the boot.
Elena?
Yes?
Hi, this is Antoinette. I'm in South Carolina in the States where it's very, very hot. And this is one of the biggest reasons that I decided not to do that trim that Linda suggested on my pony, the laminitic pony, is because her feet would get so hot in those boots during the day that I would feel very bad for her. And I've taken the boots totally off of her now because, like it actually feels like it's 115 degrees here some days. That's like the temperature and the humidity and all that combined. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to convert that in my head to Celsius, but it's very hot. And that's the biggest reason I'm not booting her now, because laminated feet definitely don't need any more heat in them than they have. So I
Yeah.
think you're doing a really good thing waiting until it cools off.
Absolutely agree. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Well,
doing a boot, definitely wait till it's cooler.
Right.
Yeah. I'm in the lucky position that I live in the Alps, and I have not the most dry season. It's also cold at night, and we have around maybe 20 degrees at night, and they say
Lovely.
29 or maybe 30 in the summertime, but the most of the time it's also light wet. So just wondering, I think your attention is the best thing you can trust.
hey, this is
You
Terry.
know, in Greece, we have these temperatures. It was the hottest summer ever. We
Yeah, I hear
arrived
you,
to
Joe.
43, 44 Celsius. So it's no, I
Yeah.
will wait.
Hey,
And meanwhile, she's doing better.
I just
Well,
want
good
to say,
for her.
can y'all hear me? This is
Yeah.
Terry in Kentucky. I was just going to say that we had real dry, like a drought, a month with no rain here. I did the glue on shoes for a little while in the beginning, and then I felt like I wanted more moisture in her feet because it was so dry. I used equine fusion boots and an EVA foam, the foam pad. And I would put them on at night when the dew in the grass would add just the moisture. I didn't wet them or anything. I turn her out at night. She comes in the daytime in a stall with lots of shavings. So I actually use those wood pellets. So I could take the boots off, bring her in, take the boots off. And so she didn't have them on in the heat of the day, but it added the moisture. I got really good results. I felt like I really started to see some change by getting that moisture in her feet at night and then bring her in the day. And let her stand in the deep shavings, and then I'd wash the boots out, clean them up and everything. Every night I would put them back on all 4 feet. And I really made some good progress doing that through the dry season. And then when it would rain and be muddy, I could leave the boots off of her and she would get the mud in her feet, but so if me personally, I wouldn't wait. I would do, so if you have the place to do that, that's what I would do. Get that moisture in her feet now, but
So
it worked for me.
I'm sorry. So I'm doing what Linda's doing. I'm experimenting with a water hole around the water tanks. We're out of a drought, so I just leave the water trickling. So there's constant water flow, and the horses have been getting support from the mud.
I do that too.
Yeah, and I go out and I clean out their feet every other day or so, and just in case they catch a rock. But I think it's working because there's a lot of exfoliation going on, and the feet are just a little easier to trim. It's probably not as aggressive as soaking and and using the socks and the boots, but it is an in-between way of still adding a little moisture to the feet without having to boot.
Yeah, I did the exact same thing. We have like a red clay mud that gets thick and it will make a pad sort of in their feet and support their foot. And I do the same thing. I make mud in that right where they have to walk in it.
So we had a flood last January. And we had 6 feet of water where the horses were. But so we had flood mud. We still have flood mud. We'll have flood mud for years. But that flood mud is sticky. It's this clay, gooey stuff that is different than our typical dirt for the area. So that's kind of like clayish as well.
Yeah.
But it seems to, it has one good aspect to it.
Well, according to Linda's post on Facebook, she's done for the day.
Okay. Well, I
Okay.
just wanted to mention in old times here in Europe, they did for the working horses, they mixed the clay with straw, really small pieces of straw, and they kind of put it into the hoof for the night and just, wet it. And then the horses went in for the night. They were standing on the dirt floor, wetted dirt floor, and with these mud packs in their hoofs. So, but here we don't, we just have sand. There is not possible to find any kind of clay, only in the art shops probably. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, girls, I think I'm off because otherwise I need to make practical decisions, right? And thank you so much, everybody. I think it was
Thank you.
such a useful.
Yes, all of us will go now.
Okay. All
Thank you
right.
so
Okay,
much.
God bless.
Thank you,
Take care.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you,
everybody.
girls. Bye. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Or good morning.